For the past year, Yorkshire T and I have been playing Games Blind, as an exploration of how different games evoke reactions from different players. Castlevania Symphony of the Night was about an experienced player learning about gaps in their knowledge, and XCOM 2 was about how players with distinct experiences adapt to the same game. In Symphony, we learned that a game of true quality can often speak beyond its genre. In XCOM 2, we learned that often, desperation is the mother of strategy, as despite our very distinct backgrounds, T and I came to the same strategic conclusions rapidly. This time, T and I want to explore what happens when a player's interest in a franchise or a game lapses over time, examining whether it is possible to get that person back on board. And who better to do that with than Sonic the Hedgehog? The story of Sonic is familiar to most people by now, but for those out of the loop, Sonic 1, 2 and 3 were a set of incredible games released during the height of the console war between Nintendo and Sega. Receiving critical acclaim, Sonic 1 created the framework for interesting platforming. Sonic 2 refined this to a mirror shine, developing a lot of the rules levels follow to this day, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles continued this expansion, opting for more ambitious and bigger levels in the hope of outdoing its predecessor. This was the golden age for Sonic. The high-speed action combined with a team that really knew what they were doing made for a magical time. This would all change, however, with the transition to 3D. For years, Sonic teams struggled with making a compelling Sonic game in 3D. Several scrapped projects meant that Sonic skipped a generation, returning with Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast. Whilst at the time the game earned high praise, a lot of that is now attributed to the relative paucity of games on the Dreamcast, and Sonic Adventure 2 will continue to show the cracks in Sega's output. Moves such as the homing attack, designed to allow Sonic to function in 3D, were unreliable, and the addition of more and more characters to shore up content led to games that were frustratingly unfocused. By the time of the release of Sonic Heroes, Sega's console ambitions had died. Reception for the game was mixed, with some praising the game's return to linearity, but others claiming that the team mechanics had caused it to lose a step. Whilst it wasn't clear that Sonic needed to change, ultimately Sega felt the writing was on the wall. And with that, we got the infamous Sonic 2006. To call Sonic 06 an unmitigated disaster would be an understatement. Terrible controls, an awful plot, there is almost nothing that this game got right. I won't go into detail on the failings. Many people have examined this disaster of a game, but it is telling that in 2010 Sega delisted Sonic 2006 from retailers because its Metacritic scores were so poor that it devalued the brand. However, Sonic 2006 had a single idea in it. For years, Sonic Team had struggled with translating Sonic's signature speed to 3D. 06's solution was to separate high-speed sections from slower platforming, going as far to alter the controls to make them flow better. This solution would form the skeleton of Sonic's next offering. Sonic Unleashed released in 2008 in two forms, one for the Xbox 360 and PS3, and another for the Wii and PS2. It was a game split into two stage variations, day stages, which featured Sonic speedily running through different courses, and night sections that involved the ill-fated werehog concept. The problem that Sega had found was that the high-speed day stages were incredibly labour-intensive to make. The levels had to be vast to accommodate for the speed, but a player could easily get through them in less than a few minutes. Faced with this choice, they opted to create a brawler in the hopes that it would allow them to use the day stages as punctuation for the rest of the game. The result was another disaster. The Werehog stages were awful in both versions, to the point that they tainted even the brief moments of exhilaration from the day stages. Once again, the game was delisted, and Sonic Team evaluated what had gone wrong again. The idea had been correct. The Wii version had a particularly strong set of day stages. My own comparison had been to F-Zero GX, but the core problem of their difficulty of creation remained. A solution came with Sonic Colors in 2010. Colors, unlike the games directly preceding it, was an excellent game. Sonic Team created engaging stages, and then used sections of the stages for challenges, allowing them to reuse assets but keep gameplay fresh. Starlight Carnival in particular remains one of the most incredible levels to see in motion to this day. However, there were still gaps. The need to create sections for challenges meant that often sections requiring intricate platforming were scattered through the stages, and the engine simply was not built for that. Which brings us to Sonic Generations. Sonic Generations is a stellar game, and until the release of Sonic Mania in 2017, stood as the best Sonic game to have been made since 1994. It introduces a retro version of Sonic, alongside his modern counterpart, with each stage being divided into two acts, Retro Sonic in Act 1 and Modern Sonic in Act 2. The retro stages control like their Genesis ancestors, with the modern stages retaining the aesthetic that began with Unleashed. It makes for an incredible blend, allowing the modern stages to focus on what they do best, whilst allowing for a game of decent length and depth. The retro stages are no slouch, easily invoking the feeling of playing earlier Sonic games. When I played it, I fell in love, and the game has aged well, its art style holding up to scrutiny, and with a dedicated modding community that continues to make new stages and challenges. But T never played Sonic Generations. After Sonic Adventure 2, he fell off the franchise, not coming back until the release of Sonic Mania. And so we thought it would be interesting to see how a player who loved the older Sonic games would react to the best offering his modern counterpart ever made. Will the game's quality speak for itself? Or is it possible that my own love for the game comes from the years of inferior titles I played before? We don't know, but we intend to find out. And that's why Yorkshire T and I are proud to bring to you Gotta Go Blind. Let's play Sonic Generations.